money coming from the US to India, and a lot of Indians have this misconception that ISKCON is sending Indian money abroad.
Guru Kripa said it was 149,000.
Did he give you any briefs about any instructions specific to your Japan?
Well, I have 150 letters from Prabhupada over the time that I was preaching overseas. So he was always giving me directions. They didn't have a proper vehicle, so I used to borrow my father's car.
The message that youngsters across who are getting introduced to Krishna consciousness.
Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But I mean, what is the harm if you try it?
ISKCON that Prabhupada was overseeing makes you feel that this is something which was not the way Prabhupada wanted. Probably, I don't know.
There's always deviations. There's always people who, their faith wavers or they're not sincere enough. One can enter the spiritual world when every tinge of material desire is gone.
Hare Krishna. So today we have the great fortune of interacting with a very, very important, a very special devotee in Srila Prabhupada's great movement, His Grace Balimardan Prabhu. Prabhuji joined ISKCON in the year 1968 at 26 2nd Avenue, and that was the time when there was just that one storefront temple in the whole world of ISKCON. And after that, he went on to preach in the most difficult places on earth on the behalf of Srila Prabhupada. So today we have the very great fortune of interacting with such a personality who has taken Srila Prabhupada's movement to the nooks and corners of the whole globe, and what austerities he underwent while doing that. How can we, in whatever we're doing, try and follow on to his footsteps? And there's a lot more that we'll be discussing. So let's get started. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time being with us. And this is something that will be like a treasure with the devotee community for a long time. And all of us would benefit a lot from this interaction because we never saw Prabhupada. We just read him, but you saw him, you served him. So it's a great privilege for us. And also I wanted to share that when Prabhuji was entering Grahas Ashram, so his wedding ceremony, Vivah Sanskar, was actually, Srila Prabhupada was personally present there when the Vivah Sanskar was happening. And also Prabhuji had the fortune of worshipping the Radha Krishna deities of Srila Prabhupada. So that's the glory of the personality that we have with us. Prabhuji, I wanted to start with the beginning. So if you could tell us about the family that you were born in, and how was the childhood and the initial phase.
I grew up in a suburb of New York City. There used to be a song by a famous American composer called 45 Minutes from Broadway. So it's a place called New Rochelle. And it's an old city. They have some revolutionary history from the American Revolution there, Thomas Paine Cottage, etc. And I grew up in a middle-class family. But one strange thing happened when I was growing up that might have some significance for my future. When I was about 6, first of all, the conception of God. I believe when I was about 3 or 4, I had a dream about God. And it gave me a lot of faith that there was a God. But after that, when I was about 6 years old, my mother placed a map of India on my wall. It was about this big, this high. It was in French, which I was later to study, but I didn't know much about India. I didn't even know what India was probably at the age of 6. But it turned out to be kind of like a touchstone for the future, kind of prophesying my future connection to India. And recently, I had the map evaluated because I still have it for some reason. I don't know why. But, and it turns out the map is still over 300 years old. It's an original map. It was made in Amsterdam, and it was made in 1720. So I take it as like a breadcrumb that Krishna's, telling me, what's in store for my future, in a sense. So that was just a little anecdote because you asked about me growing up. So
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. This is so amazing. And so, Prabhu, like when you were growing up and when you were in your teenage years, so how did this like, so like before you just met devotees, so like what was your state of mind? Like, were you, so like what actually?
okay, I was at New York University, NYU, and I was majoring in literature and philosophy. And one of the books that I was, I believe it might have been optional, but it was on the list, was Bhagavad Gita. And the edition that I read for school was just a straight translation with no commentary. So I was thinking to myself, you know, how this philosophy is so nice. You know, how can you actually live according to it? And of course, Krishna answers that question in the Bhagavad Gita itself. He said one must approach a spiritual master. But I didn't know anything about spiritual masters at that time. But so that was very interesting. Then in school, I was sitting one day with a professor in the lounge, and this very big man comes up to us. His name was Bruce Scharf, and he was very excited. And he was talking about a musical group, the Rolling Stones, had just released a song called Satisfaction. His main theme is that there's no satisfaction in the material world, which was very telling, because this big man was later to become the president of 26 Second Avenue. His name is Brahmananda Prabhu.
Haribo.
And he was to be my mentor later on, you know, as when I did join the temple. But I don't think he was in the temple at this time. This was a little bit before, maybe in, you know, so, because he was a couple of years ahead of me in school.
Oh.
But later on, there were two devotees, Paramananda Prabhu, Paramananda Das, and Satyabhama, who did get involved with the temple, and they brought me some prasadam, you know, and you know, I became a vegetarian around that time.
What inspired you for vegetarianism?
Well, because I was already, you know, thinking about Bhagavad Gita, and my friends had, you know, were very persuasive. You know, it just seemed like something that was worthwhile, you know.
They were persuasive of what? Sorry?
What?
They were persuasive of what? What were they persuading you for?
Oh, that, you know, it was a good thing.
Have to be a vegetarian.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And was it like, because now we have veganism and so much of, I would say, there's so much of there's so much of talk, and it's a popular thing now. So, but back in the 1960s.
They used to call it like macrobiotic diet was popular at that time. They used to call it. I don't think veganism had started
yet, it hadn't.
But so, they were into like macrobiotic stuff they called.
So how would so then, because I don't think, so was it like that you had, if somebody decided to be vegetarian that time, so they had cook their own meals and they can never have food outside? Because we've heard that across the world, mostly everything has some element of flesh into it.
It was difficult, but it was difficult back then. You know, you had to. But New York City is very. You can find almost every. There's so many different ethnic groups in New York City. You can find almost anything.
Okay.
And I was located in the city.
So, bro, when was so what I'm getting is that there were your, I would say, seniors in the university who were attending the 26 Second Avenue programs, and they were getting prasadam for you. So this was the first.
Well, they weren't full time yet. They were still
they were
in school,
studying,
but they had visited.
And they brought prasadam for
you.
Brought
me some prasadam.
So how was the first prasadam experience something very remarkable?
Not that I really remember. I didn't understand what it was, what the difference was. So, but it was just, it just increased my interest.
So what was the...
And I used to see ads in the newspaper called The Village Voice, chanting in Tompkins Square Park.
Oh.
And it had the Hare Krishna Mantra on it.
Oh.
So it was already affecting my mind without me really knowing it.
But that was an underground newspaper, I believe.
Not really. It was quite popular, The Village Voice.
And that was popular like only in New York City or through the East Coast?
Mainly in New York City. Mainly in New York. I'm not sure how far. Mostly in a New York paper because it had like New York events.
Okay. So this is the power of media, when so you never know who reads what. And
well, you're into media, so you must be familiar with Marshall McLuhan.
I have heard this.
The Media is the Message. It was a prophetic book in the 60s. And it said that the media will make the world into a global village.
Oh.
Really a great concept.
Yeah.
And I think Krishna Consciousness is seeing that on YouTube by the way they're starting to use YouTube to reach millions and millions of people. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Prabhu. There are these songs by devotees, and sometimes I have this so a lot of devotee groups in their songs. So I sometimes just scroll the comments, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen, so there are comments where people are they say that I don't know what they're singing. I'm a Christian or I don't know what, or a atheist, but I don't know why tears are not stopping coming out of my eyes listening to this music.
It's amazing. Yeah. I was affected also when I was watching it. Yeah, because it was so nice. They don't talk much about philosophy.
Yeah.
I think they just want people to chant.
Yeah.
And then come to the philosophy, and perhaps on their own.
Right.
But except one devotee, Achyuta Priya, I think Achyuta something, disciple of Indraduma Swami, is very popular also. She did the...
Achyuta Gopi.
Achyuta Gopi.
She was here last month.
I'm sad that I missed her. I would have loved to talk to her.
She was here last, I think it was 30th of September.
Oh, yeah?
She was here, and it was heavily crowded. We had to somehow manage the crowd and everything. It was a great event.
Yeah, I can imagine. That would have been great to meet her.
And even people who are not devotees, they really this particular line of a Radhe. Radhe, Radhe, Govinda. Yeah. So this is very popular amongst everyone, irrespective of ISKCON and non-ISKCON followers. Mm-hmm. So Prabhu, then when did you first visit the 22nd Avenue Temple? Or how did you visit?
Actually, what happened was I went to the temple a few times, and I was very impressed. And then when the semester ended, I moved down to the East Village so I could be close to the temple.
What impressed you about the temple? A small place.
The devotees were very nice, and the chanting, chanting.
And Prabhupada was there when you went?
No, he wasn't there. He hadn't been there for a while.
So you went
I think he was in... I had to go to Montreal to be initiated because he had gone back to India, and then he couldn't come into the U.S. back into the U.S. right away. So he stayed in Montreal for some months. So
you went a few times and he wasn't there, and then when did you actually have his first darshan?
Okay, after I joined the temple. I moved into the temple, and I think maybe 3 or 4 months, they sent me it was in 1968, I think in October, they sent me to Montreal to be initiated.
Okay.
And that's the first time that I met Srila Prbahhpa personally.
Okay. Bro, how did you decide upon joining? What inspired you to take that decision? You were studying, you were not a hippie.
Because I was already looking for a way to live Bhagavad Gita, and now I found this spiritual master. And then in 26 2nd Avenue, they didn't know much about Krishna. Krishna book hadn't been published yet. Bhagavad Gita hadn't been published yet. They did have Srimad Bhagavatam, the ones that Srila Prabhupada brought with him from India. But all they talked about was Prabhupada. Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada did this.
Amazing.
Everything was Prabhupada. So he kind of like absorbed that.
Wow.
And Brahmananda had such a strong love for Prabhupada.
Wow.
And I was very close to him. So from him, that developed.
So nobody asked you that you should join, like it came naturally within you.
Yeah.
And so probably the fact that there were so many hippies there, did that not kind of probably discourage you because you were a university student, NYU, and then what I know is that most of the attendees were hippies and into drugs and LSD.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brahmananda wasn't because he was also from NYU, so
okay.
So I felt very comfortable.
Okay.
And the other devotees were nice.
Okay.
There were some married couples, and some of them were working. But I never had a problem with that because I had long hair before I, joined anyway.
Okay. Right. So Prabhu, how was the first darshan of Prabhupada? If you can share something.
It was amazing. It's like we had always known each other, and sometimes you have a very dark day, and all of a sudden the sun comes out from between the clouds, and Prabhupada smiled, and it was heavenly. So like when Prabhupada met his spiritual master, he said, from that day I learned the meaning of love. So true love is hard to find, but the spiritual master truly loves us to come and undergo so many hardships to bring us back to home, back to Godhead. So we had a very, we were very close relationship from the beginning.
Do you remember other devotees who got initiation along with you that day?
There was one devotee, Mrigendra, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I didn't
just one.
That was his name.
Okay.
But I didn't really follow his career. I did meet Hansaduta Prabhu and his wife, Himavati, when I was in Montreal. And Gaurasundar and Govindadasi.
Okay.
Govindadasi was like the gatekeeper.
Okay.
So you had to be nice to her.
So it wasn't a big initiation, just two of you there.
What?
It wasn't a big initiation.
I think it was just two of us at the time when I was initiated.
Right. And did Prabhupada, in the first, did he give you any instructions that day apart from the general initiation instructions?
I believe he said, I told him I was in university, and he told me not to drop out, but to finish my education and use it for Krishna.
Okay. Fine. So did that not confuse you? Because probably that time the mood was this join and leave everything. Was that?
No, I was comfortable with that because I only had one year to finish, and the temple location, I switched some of my courses to go to take place in NYU downtown, which was in Greenwich Village and much closer to the temple.
So you took courses which were at a campus closer to the temple.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah, because I was living, there, so
yeah,
it was much easier.
So then, Prabhu, after your course got over, you moved into the temple. So how was life at the storefront temple? Because it was storefront. So how did devotees who had joined? Did they have what kind of facilities they had? And
they had a brahmachari apartment on First Avenue. So you had to go around the block to get to it. And in fact, they didn't even have a kitchen in the temple. So Rohini Kumar Prabhu used to carry this big plate, big metal plate. He used to hold it above his head, and from the brahmachari, from the kitchen to the deities, because we had Jagannath deities primarily.
Right.
Yeah, Jagannath was the main deity.
And like then like so after you joined, so like what services like started performing?
My first service was to come early in the morning and make garlands for Srila Prabhupada's Radha Krishna deities, brass Radha Krishna deities that were in his apartment.
Right.
And sometimes I would bathe them and make garlands, cut carnations, string them, and then make garlands for the deities. So I have an attachment for Radha Krishna from that time.
Right.
And now Radha Krishna, they're showing me how many temples they have in India, from that little storefront.
Yeah. So then, Prabhu, how did this like the international preaching missions, like how did they begin? And then like how did like Prabhupada think of like, assigning those responsibilities to you?
Yeah, that happened. Ramananda told me that they were looking for, he was in communication with Tamal Krishna Prabhu. He wasn't a sannyasi yet. And they were in communication about sending devotees to Japan.
Okay.
And they had one on the West Coast, Sudama Prabhu, and they wanted someone to go with him to Japan. So he said they were, thinking that I would make a suitable companion for him. And so I thought it was a great challenge. And I was very, I used to pray before Lord Chaitanya for guidance, because he's the one who Jari Dako Krishna Upadesh, go and preach this message.
So you were excited when
Prabhupada. It was very challenging, going to foreign lands.
So Japan is like, okay, so after this, what happened? Like, how did that final, the final moment came up from this point when there were discussions of you being an appropriate person to join Sudama Prabhu?
Well, I said that, I would go with him, but that they wanted me to go to the West Coast for some weeks to prepare. And so that's when in New York, I had some association with Prabhupada, because when Prabhupada would come to New York City, they didn't have a proper vehicle to bring him from the airport. So I used to borrow my father's car and use it to transport Srila Prabhupada from the airport to the temple.
Okay.
And I was so nervous, sometimes I'd get lost. I would pretend that I wasn't lost. Because it can be a lot of traffic, and the route is kind of a little complicated. You have to switch highways and stuff, all kinds of stuff.
You mentioned your father used to borrow your father's car. So what was the reaction of your parents like when they got to know that you were joining Hare Krishna?
They weren't very happy about it, but they didn't. But I guess they accepted it because he loaned me the car, right? So he was able to get some benefit out of it,
right?
By being in the service of a pure devotee. But they didn't know that; they didn't understand that,
right?
And
Prabhu mentioned about you being like sent to the West Coast for some training before you went to Japan. So what kind of training was that?
Association with Srila Prabhupada.
Oh.
Morning walks.
Wow.
Darshan in his living quarters.
So that you get that.
We became much closer. At that point, and also I had the benefit of being able to meet devotees that I'd never met, because I was on the East Coast. And one of the most memorable ones was Vishnu Jan Prabhu. I used to go to downtown LA kirtan with him. But even more memorable, that was, downtown LA could be kind of oppressive, the heat, and it's not such a good environment down
in the terms of?
Yeah.
In the terms of?
In downtown LA. But the temple program was fantastic. Vishnu Jan Prabhu used to put on these festivals every Sunday. And each week it was different, usually based on one of Krishna's Leelas. And he would sing like bhajans describing it. He would talk about it. And I mean, his voice was he made you feel you were actually there.
You were there in Krishna's
Leela.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the ones that I remember quite distinctly was about the gopis going on a boat down the Jamuna. And, description of that. There's some bhajans about it. And, it was really fantastic. Yeah.
Did Prabhupada say this about him? My Vishnu Jan can make the whole world chant Hare Krishna.
What's that?
My Vishnu Jan can make the whole world chant Hare Krishna.
That's quite possible. I never heard him say it, but it's possible. Yeah, he was very charismatic.
Thank you so much. I've read about him, but never heard about him.
Try and listen to some of his tapes. You still get the tapes are still there.
Who else did you meet at this West Coast?
I met, I remember Sachi Devi was married to Karanda, and Karanda, I guess. I don't know if Rameswar was present then or not. I don't remember. I don't think he had joined yet, perhaps. And Keshava, Karanda's brother, he was more of a happy face than Karanda.
You met Tamal Krishna Maharaj also there?
Yeah, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Yeah. I had a long association with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Very close. In fact, I convinced him to get married, to take sannyas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people will say it's good, some people won't.
And then he came to Jaipur and he sat outside Prabhupada quarters that I'm not going unless you give me sannyas.
Oh, really? Did he?
I don't mean Bombay. Yeah, sorry, he went to Bombay. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Bombay. He went and he sat outside.
Really?
I've read this Prabhupada.
Oh, really? Okay.
As far as my memory goes, and then Prabhupada said, no, she's also my daughter. I have to care for her. And then the women, the Matajis, they became really furious that Prabhupada, you cannot do this and all. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Interesting.
This is probably what I can remember from my memory. I might be wrong, but I think this is how it is.
Yeah, I remember talking to Tamal about it in Calcutta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Prabhu, after this preparation, this was how long that you had to get the training there, or the preparation?
I was there for 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, great.
We had to get our visas and everything.
Right. So then
passports, visas.
Yeah. What were your exact feelings when you were boarding the plane and then
I was just praying to Lord Chaitanya, to Lord Nityananda, to give us the strength to... I mean, Prabhupada actually empowered us to do it, so, it was a great challenge.
Was there a last meeting, which you had with Prabhupada and, that after this darshan, we have to, go to the mission?
I don't remember it that directly, but Prabhupada was supportive the whole time. He
was supportive.
I was supportive, very enthusiastic about it.
Did he give you any, briefs about, what you have to do and, any directions or specific directions? Any instructions specific to your Japan?
Well, I have 150 letters from Prabhupada over the time that I was preaching overseas. So he was always giving me directions on everything,
So, Prabhu, then also, it is said that sometimes devotees also had to probably collect the Lakshmi for their flight tickets for such preaching missions, or was it somehow arranged from the temple?
I think it was arranged.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry for asking these details, but I was just excited about And so then when you landed in Tokyo for the first time?
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Well, we had no idea where to go. So
you just had the Tokyo ticket and nothing else apart from that? No contacts, nothing?
No place to stay, no nothing.
And how much Lakshmi were carrying to find a hotel and stay?
We didn't
Not
have very much, but we had enough for a little while.
A few days only.
Yeah, for a few days. So we decided to go to a place called Shinjuku because it was known to be a place where young people like to go. Like every city has some area like that.
Yeah.
Like New York, it's Greenwich Village, or in Sydney, it's King's Cross. So we went there, but we were kind of very surprised when we got there.
What was that?
Because we saw these young people with these bags over their face, sniffing out of the bags. And then we found out they were sniffing glue. They were so desperate to get high.
Oh, glue.
Glue sniffers.
Oh.
Yeah. Because apparently there's some chemicals in the glue or something.
Mm.
So that was a surprise. So it took us a while, and then we stayed in like these guest house kind of places, like Japanese style, like tatami mats.
Okay.
Very very simple. Japanese way of living is very simple.
Oh. And so probably like so when you landed there, so how did you and the other Prabhu with you? So how did you you thought of one place and then you figured out that was full of people who wanting to be intoxicated. So what was next? And how did that whole what was the time before which you actually started getting some positive results?
Actually, we were very frustrated about being in Tokyo because it was so difficult. Tokyo, it's so difficult to rent places because it's so crowded. Mm-hmm. And the Japanese have a special system involving something they call key money, which is like a bribe, kind of like a bribe you have to pay in order to get a place. And it was very complicated. So I think we ended up deciding to go to Kyoto.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we had where we established our first temple in Kyoto.
Okay, if you could brief just what all happened before the first temple was established. So were you doing kirtans on the streets?
What?
Were you doing some kirtan?
We did do some kirtan, and I guess we were able to collect little bit of money.
You had no books, but just Back to God magazines?
We had some BTGs, I believe.
Okay.
But not many.
What, either of you Japanese speakers?
No.
So how did you communicate with the Japanese?
It was very difficult. We would try to, sometimes we'd find something that spoke a little English, yeah.
Translator?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Tokyo was difficult. Kyoto was much easier because it's not so many, it's not so crowded. It's easier to rent places.
Yeah.
So we're able to rent a little house.
Right. Prabhu, I was just wondering, because in India, we have a climate in which Krishna consciousness and the elements required are much more easily available. So when you're in a place like Tokyo or Kyoto, so I'm sorry if it is a silly question, but then we have tulsi leaves to offer, bhoga. So how is that managed in a place where you cannot, you were not staying somewhere? So then how does offering happen there? And I'm sorry if it's silly.
We had the photos of of Prabhupada and Panchatattva.
Okay.
So we would offer to them.
Right. So, Prabhu, in a brief, then how over the next years, how did that yatra develop and major events that happen, and maybe some some challenges and some
long ago. I don't remember. Probably leaving out. There's so much that's very vague, but I know we had a nice little house in Kyoto, and we used to have a Sunday feast. Siddhama used to be a personal servant to Srila Prbahhpa, and he could cook very well, and I learned to cook,
right.
From partially from him, and what I had also learned in New York.
Right.
And And we used to have a feast. We used to go out. His wife joined him, Chintamani,
Okay.
Devi Dasi, and she joined him. And Sudama used to go to work as an English teacher in Osaka. He would take the train from Kyoto to Osaka because native English speakers were in demand in Japan at that time. So I used to do Sankirtan with Chintamani in Kyoto. It was a interesting area. There was a lot of geisha. You know what geisha is?
No, I don't know, sorry.
Geisha is like the ancient style, like a kimono, like very traditional Japanese outfit. And they're very highly trained women in Japanese culture and arts. You know, singing, musicians, etc. And it's an old, very ancient tradition in Japan. But there were also yakuza, which are gangsters, which you could recognize by their haircut and their tattoos, and maybe they'd be missing some fingers. So so it was very interesting. But we were able to, you know, chant. No one stopped us, which was good, and we were able to collect some funds. I mean, and in Kyoto, we used to meet with some of the Buddhist monasteries, you know, and discuss philosophy. Zazen was very popular at that time. Foreigners used to come there to stare at a brick wall and meditate. So very dry. But there was another side of Buddhism, a devotional side, which you could see at some of the temples, the Buddhist temples. So it was interesting and very beautiful, surrounded by mountains. And it had an electric tram, so it was easy to get around the city. Quite easy. But then we decided that although Kyoto was nice, we weren't really reaching the masses. You know, to do that, we'd have to go back to Tokyo. To establish a city.
Although that's much more difficult in the terms of...
Yeah, because in terms of getting a place to have a temple, you know. But we finally were able to... we went back to Tokyo, and, you know, after a couple of tries, we found a place that was suitable. It was in near Shibuya Station, about 15-minute walk, I believe, from Shibuya Station, which is a very popular shopping area. Very densely crowded, though. And we had a nice little house there. So we started having programs, you know, cooking feasts, and, you know, having the regular Krishna consciousness.
Could you tell me one thing, like, because when people, even if you invite them for a love feast and they come, so they're Japanese speakers, and you'll be speaking English, so you always have to find someone who will be translating.
Well, the educated people, I mean, there's tend to be some who understand some English.
Right.
You know, and then the chanting is like the universal language. So we had some people who were like regular followers. You know.
So, and like, so then how did like that, from that yatra, you were like transferred to, like, you know, start a new chapter?
Yeah, what happened was things were stabilizing a little in Japan. And we had been in contact with a couple from Australia. I believe they were tourists in Japan. And they had expressed some desire to help establish a center in Australia. So I wrote to Srila Prbahhpa. I was in regular communication with him. And he told me that previously another devotee, he had wanted to open a center in Australia, and a devotee named Chidananda had tried to go there. But he applied for the wrong kind of visa, and he was rejected. I think he was going on applied for a tourist visa, but he was rejected for whatever reason. So I decided that, so I offered to go. I told Prabhupada that, that everything is stable here. Sudama can take care of things for now, and his wife. And Prabhupada encouraged me. And he said that Lord Chaitanya was giving me. Actually, he said, I take it for granted, this quoting, because I actually read this. I was rereading, a while ago, I was rereading the book that Korma Prabhu wrote about Australia.
Okay.
And he quoted a letter Prabhupada wrote me like over 100 letters, and I don't review them that much because it's painful to relive, you feel the separation from Prabhupada so strongly when you
read the letters
because it's like he's talking to you,
And that's where you find it difficult to be able to...
Yeah, I find it difficult to, feel too much separation. But anyway, I was reading in Korma's book, Prabhupada wrote, he said, I take it for granted you are one of Lord Chaitanya's selected devotees. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think it means that I have some connection, that I should look at that connection to Lord Chaitanya. But in another lecture, I heard him say that some of you were demigods. And, and in different positions, maybe associates of Lord Chaitanya. And it's like when the king comes with his entourage, Krishna doesn't send Prabhupada alone, but he also arranges to send, his associates and people to help him in his mission.
Right.
So I took it like that. But, it was challenging. Prabhupada said that, he used words to describe it. I don't want to repeat it really. Because you could take it, I took it as, motivation. He was motivating me, but other people say that Prabhupada never flattered people,
So Prabhu, so then you landed in Australia, and what were the major events that happened during those times?
When I landed in Australia, this couple that
had invited
was
you,
assisting us, they lived in a suburb. It wasn't in the city.
Right.
So it was a problem from the beginning because it was quite shocking, though, to go to Australia, to go from Japan, which was so crowded, to a place where it's like a nuclear bomb wiped everything. There's no one there, It's like seemed empty, being in the suburb. So I decided to leave that place and go into the city. Where all the people were. And so I went to a place called King's Cross, which is a very popular area in Sydney, Australia. And there was a little park there. And I believe I had a mridanga with me. And probably kartals.
Okay.
So I used to, so in the beginning, I just, I rented a room close in that area. And, I had kirtan. I started chanting.
Alone? No one else alone? No one else?
No.
Okay, so you never, did this feeling ever come that what would people think, I'm in a weird dress, a weird mark, and I'm singing a weird song where no one else knows this song? Did this never come? Yeah,
it did, but I suppressed it because, I was empowered by Prabhupada. So, I had to do what Prabhupada wanted me to do. And he set the example. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam, I believe, Mahatma Yena or something. Yeah, that's the verse. Follow the path of the previous acharyas. Don't deviate from the path.
So that was the inspiration that he himself was alone, and that's why you cannot be alone.
Prabhupada came to Tompkins Square Park.
Yeah.
And, he just sat down and chanted. And that was my guide.
How did people react? They saw you like a young white
Well, I
boy.
used to get quite a good crowd. And I remember there was one boy, and he was very attracted. And and it was a lot easier than Japan because the people spoke English.
Yeah.
So it was easier to communicate. And they believe he helped monetarily. And problem was I didn't have many books.
Okay.
I had some BTGs when I came, but not many.
Right.
But I was able to, at that time, Prabhupada, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, had recently come out.
Okay.
And I located a Macmillan company office in Sydney, and they had a small stockpile of Bhagavad Gitas to my good luck.
How did that make you feel?
Well, that felt good. That's Krishna's arrangement.
Yeah.
He's providing for his people, spread his message. So I think I must have bought, all the ones that they had.
Okay.
And then we had something to distribute temporarily until books could be shipped to us.
Okay.
So that was good. And then there were people that were attracted, in the very beginning that helped us. And I know the famous one is the actress Jagatarini Devi Dasi, very good devotee.
Yeah.
And she's still in Australia. And I married her to Burjan later on.
Oh, you married them?
I married them, and I left them in Hong Kong.
Oh.
Which is like, it's they probably hated me for that. But
they hated for marrying you or something?
No, for leaving them in Hong Kong.
Okay.
It's a very difficult area. Very difficult there, in some ways.
Yeah.
But,
so, Prabhu, did you never feel that like you are the only devotee, and then in like LA, you had like a huge group of devotees?
That made me depend on Krishna more and Prabhupada.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's true. But that separation makes your connection more intense to Lord Chaitanya and to Prabhupada.
So did you have in mind that, okay, let me like establish a yatra?
Who else do you have to help you? No one.
Right. Do you think that Prabhupada was like purposefully giving these challenges because he probably wanted all of you to extend yourself and apply the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in reality? And because otherwise, had you not probably gone there, you may not have had the desire to depend as strongly as you actually did, on these missions.
Giving us an opportunity to serve Krishna to get the spiritual benefit. Just like when he was ill in Vrindavan, we used to take turns massaging his feet at night.
Yeah.
But that was for our benefit.
He did not need that.
Touch the lotus feet of the pure devotee.
He did not need that? What? He did not need those massages?
Krishna doesn't need anything, but he accepts it if love.
Yeah.
So I don't think Prabhupada, I think he, engaged us to pull us back to home.
Yeah.
We thought we were serving him, but he was actually serving us.
Yeah.
But there's reciprocation in loving relationships, especially spiritual ones. There's a lot of reciprocation.
Yeah.
The gopis, I was just reading, the gopis enjoy seeing Radha and Krishna together more so than themselves with Krishna.
Okay.
They have a higher enjoyment seeing Radha and Krishna together.
Right. This, I was at the Radha Gopinath temple today also morning, and this feeling of I don't know, what you said, it took me there, Radha Gopinath temple.
Yeah, I was there also.
Yeah, I knew. We were there on 2 days of the opening. Okay. So Prabhu, then how did, what were the major developments, the major events, or the major, I would say, the comical events that happened, the Australia Yatra, how did that become established? And then how did you move to the next mission from there?
Somebody donated a little VW bug, a little car.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, Volkswagen.
Okay.
But it didn't start. We used to have to push it to start it, and then jump inside. You know, it wasn't automatic transmission. It was like a gears, so you have to pop it into gear to get it to start while it was rolling. So it's something that comes easily to mind. There probably a lot more. Also, the language. You know, learning the trunk is the boot.
Okay.
You know, and they have all different names for like car parts than normal English, you know, like American English.
Okay. So, okay.
They called, I think they use like the English terminology.
Yeah.
Like the boot.
It was an English colony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, bro, how did the Yatra establish? And then, like, how did you move to the next mission from there?
Well, we had when I was alone, and then I was running out of money. So instead of renting the room, and I was told by people who were friendly, he said, you can live for free. You know, there are many abandoned houses where you can stay. and squatting was quite popular then in Australia at that time. So I found someone told me about a house. So I used it for a while. But then Upendra came and he was like, he couldn't take it. You know? he wasn't used to like living rough, you know.
So must have been like in really bad shape. The home must have been in really bad shape.
Yeah, I mean, I only used one area where I could sleep. But because I wasn't having programs then, I was just chanting and doing a little distribution. But I was waiting for him to come. And then when he came, Gargamuni had loaned him some money because you can't come with no money.
Right.
You know, they won't let you into the country.
Okay.
You have to show some money.
Okay.
So he had loaned him some money. So we used that to pay the rent. We found a little house in Potts Point, and we got a bunch of like newspaper articles about it.
About what?
Krishna Consciousness.
Okay.
Because we were used to go out chanting.
Okay.
And we used to get quite nice crowds.
Media coverage happened.
Yeah. We used to get quite nice crowds, and you know, it attracted media attention.
Oh.
You know, so we had a few articles published about it.
Right.
And so that was helpful. And then we had our Sunday feast. You know. But then the house became too small because there were too many people coming.
Right.
So we found a bigger house in Bondi, which was outside the city, but it was easier to have programs there.
Right.
And then we got a bunch of devotees.
Right.
But then Prabhupada made the BBT. I mean the GBC. So I was a GBC for Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So now I had more responsibilities.
Okay.
So I left, we had made some devotees, so I left them in charge, which they weren't too happy about. But
and Upendra Prabhu was like looking after the devotees.
Yeah, and Upendra was still there. And I think he had a wife. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she was there or not.
Okay.
She was supposed to join him, but I don't remember if she ever did.
Right. And then, so when you said so then from there you were like given a bigger charge, the whole of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And then like which country did you like go to from there?
Okay, let's see. I think I remember I went back to Japan, and then I stopped over for a night in Taipei, and then from Taipei to Hong Kong.
So the next stop
was... And then Bourjan joined me, and then his wife joined me, and I married them. Okay. And then I left I got on a boat, which was probably a mistake because they're too slow, those cargo ships, to go to Singapore.
Okay.
Because Prabhupada was eager to expand the mission.
So, okay, so Prabhupada was like wanting to get this probably confirmation from you. There are these probably, I would say narrations popular that Prabhupada used to like rotate a globe and he would like point, like put his finger at one point and he would ask, what country is that? Like, this was in New York probably. And then they would tell Prabhupada, this is, say, this country. And Prabhupada, okay, so you go there. And then
Really?
like, I don't know, like I've read this. So I wanted to like probably have you heard of this or read this somewhere
I
or
never heard
experienced?
that one.
Okay.
But I know he would. I know Gopal who joined me in Malaysia was in India, and Prabhupada asked for volunteers to go to areas, but he was the only one that raised his hand.
Okay.
So he went.
Okay.
One time Prabhupada asked me to go to help Gargamuni in Nepal.
Right.
So I went. What can you do? Some people, when he asked Brahmananda to go to Africa, he went.
Right.
But, some people were asked to go places, but they didn't go. So, but if you want to satisfy the spiritual master, you have to be eager to fulfill his desires.
Yeah. So after now you landed in Singapore, so how was the experience there? How was the challenges and like the special, I would say, like the
Well, Hong Kong was a little easier because the British were still in control.
Yeah.
So English was spoken by a certain class of people.
Right. Right.
So we had kirtans, but the housing was very difficult in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So crowded.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. But we did get a place finally, and that's when I left for Singapore. Singapore was I don't think we had any. I'm not sure if we had any connection with any families there or not. But I remember the first night I decided to stay at a Sikh gurdwara.
Oh.
Because they have a tradition of hospitality.
Yeah.
And but when I went there, it was all closed.
Okay.
So I had to sleep on a bench outside until the morning, when things opened up. But then I believe I contacted they have quite a few Indian businessmen in Singapore. And they're very nice people. Mostly Sindhis from the Sindhi area that had become Pakistan.
Yeah.
So a lot of them left,
Okay.
for places like, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong.
Because of the Indian, I would say the Indian, origin people staying there, it was more easy than the other countries that you went to.
It was easier than Japan.
Yeah.
Japan, there weren't very many, although there was one city we found, Kobe, where we used to have to go to buy supplies.
Right.
Like mung dal and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because, and in Indian supplies, that there were some Indian businessmen there.
Right.
But, so in Singapore, we made quite a few friends. And, I told Prabhupada I needed books to distribute. We started distributing a lot of big books, and Prabhupada was very happy about that.
Okay.
Oh, and some devotees joined me later in Singapore.
Okay.
I was staying in the beginning. I was just staying at the house of one Indian gentleman and his family, and then I used to go during the day and visit businesses and meet people, and it was encouraging, Yeah. And then Hanuman and Amoga Prabhu joined me, and we were able to have kirtan programs.
Right.
We had loads of invitations, to people's houses to do kirtan.
Primarily Indian origin people.
Yeah, from the Indian business community. Then later on, we also made contact with the groups from South India.
Yeah.
Who weren't so much into business, the business thing. In fact, there was a temple I think we stayed at for some time, a South Indian temple.
Yeah.
Like a Vishnu temple.
Okay.
Which was nice, I think. Because we could even take prasad.
Hare.
A little bit. I mean, they didn't feed us, but I think we got small amounts. But we started having programs. But Singapore's, the government is very bad. They don't like anything out of the ordinary. So there was an article that was published in the paper about us. And then the government was on the lookout for us. In the meantime, a Chinese woman had donated a large mansion for us to live in.
Oh, great.
Which was great. But the only problem was the government.
Right.
We were invited to Malaysia. We rented a car and filled it up with books, that we had, that Prabhupada had made sure was shipped to us. And when we tried to get back to Singapore, they said Amoga and Hanuman. They recognized them from the newspaper. So we had to leave Singapore for the time being, and we concentrated on Malaysia. And then
that discontinued whatever preaching efforts you had been doing there, or someone continued?
We started preaching in Singapore temporarily.
Oh, okay.
But in Malaysia, we started visiting rubber plantations.
Okay, yeah.
And each plantation had maybe 200 to 300 Indian workers.
Okay.
And, they loved kirtan.
Okay.
We used to have this big kirtan. They'd usually have a hall, like a meeting place. So everyone would fit in there. We would have kirtan up on the stage kind of thing. And only thing that was very strange was usually when the kirtan became very fast, someone would go into a trance. And they would fall down on the floor, writhing, and it was a little scary. People don't know what it is. They never experienced that before. But then we kind of got used to it.
It became so common.
Yeah.
And then so that person would stop only after you stop the kirtan.
Yeah.
They will stop vibrating after you stop the kirtan.
And then they come back to it.
Okay.
At some point.
Okay.
Well, we never stopped the kirtan, for them, but eventually they'd have to wait.
Okay.
And it was never any medical.
Yeah.
We were aware. But these people were so appreciative. And then we had families who would invite us, and they'd invite their friends, and we'd have kirtan, and the children became involved.
Okay.
Of the northern Indians more.
Yeah.
And I understand that later on the children became more proactive to Krishna consciousness than the parents.
Okay.
Imagine that.
So were you focusing somehow, and because this is unusual. Generally, youngsters, they probably are, they have lesser of an understanding and lesser of an interest. Mm-hmm. But then in this case, it's very different. So were you focusing on them? Were you having a separate maybe seminar session for them or interacting with them?
No, we would just talk to them. They were very friendly. So, we would just, we got some of them started chanting on beads and stuff like that.
Right.
And in Penang, there was an old Hindu temple, very old. And I used to have a morning program where I would sing bhajans and a lot of people would come.
So you were staying there, or you were just used to visit in the mornings for the morning program?
Good question. I think we were staying there.
And you were doing the Guru Ashkam and the ISKCON morning program there?
What?
You were doing this
It wasn't like it was an old temple building, but I'm not sure if it was actually very much in use.
But you were doing the ISKCON morning program there, or their like prayers?
Yeah, we had like a morning program where we would bring them and talk to them and chant
Right.
bhajans like Narottam Das Thakur, like Jeev Jago, Ija Tadi, Jiva,
right.
Because the Indians could appreciate it.
Right. So then Prabhu, then how did, so like between this, so you're still like still a brahmachari till this point? You are not yet married?
No.
Okay. And so how did that special moment like came up, like, when Prabhupada administered your wedding and like he was there? So.
Yeah, that was much later on. That was in the U.S.
Yeah.
When I was back in the U.S. Yeah, I had to go back to New York because there was a federal court case because I had been traveling so much.
Okay.
The U.S. had a policy for the draft, the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted me to go for the physical and all that.
So they
could the draft.
So they got to know that like you are traveling a lot across the world, and then they like this communicated to you.
They sent me a letter that I was supposed to respond to.
Okay.
But I never got the letter because I was kept moving.
Right.
So they filed a case in criminal court.
Oh, that was a criminal offense, like not responding to.
So Prabhupada said I could go back to New York.
Okay.
But then when I went to New York, there were some problems with the way the temple and the press were being managed. So Prabhupada asked me to step in.
Okay.
So that's when I became involved with the Henry Street Temple and ISKCON Press.
Okay. And ISKCON Press is known for that Srimad Bhagavatam marathon printing. So were you there that when the Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon that happened in the ISKCON Press? That was in the New York Press or somewhere else?
What's that?
The Chaitanya Charitamrita printing marathon, wherein within a very short time, probably around 6 weeks, devotees published all of the Chaitanya Charitamrita copies.
I don't recall it. We mostly developed. Prabhupada would send the tapes, and then they would be typed out. They would be transcribed, and then they would type them on the special kind of typewriters for printing.
Right.
And they'd be Jayadvaita would edit them.
Okay.
You'd have to edit them first, of course.
Right.
And then they would do the graphics, the layouts, and make prints. It depends. The stuff that we print, we set up a press. We had to buy equipment for printing and binding also.
Right.
And Hare Krishna was editing a lot of Prabhupada's tapes and making them into small books like Reservoir of Pleasure, Perfection of Yoga. That whole series of soft of small books we developed there. And that was very successful.
Yeah.
And we used to print a lot of them in the beginning, but then the numbers were so big it was easier just to have commercial printing.
Okay. Yeah, these are all very powerful books.
They're still in being published.
Very much, actually, very much. Yeah. Because a lot of our college students and youngsters, they may not be able to have the aptitude for the Bhagavad Gita. But these books are small, and the best part is that when I had this for a short time, I was distributing books at the University of Delhi. So what I used to do, that even in the marathon, we would set up a table. There would be Gita, both Hindi and English, and I would also have all of these small books. Why? Because if someone is not having the, I would say, the inclination for the big book, at least you can pitch in for the small books, and they come in so many different topics. They're two on yoga, the perfection of yoga, and another one on yoga. So depending on what interests one has, you
Right.
can give them either of those. And sometimes what we used to do, we used to give them the book, and we used to say that you take the book and you give us any donation you want.
Yeah.
So anyone can like give 20 rupees and
Yeah,
30
yeah.
rupees. So they are really powerful,
That's
small
good,
books. We have a series of like for the college students, we have a series of books. So initially are these On the Way to Krishna, then
That was
so all
one
of these are the initial ones.
Yeah, Prabhupada was very happy with those.
Yeah. And like On the Way to Krishna is like so powerful. Each of the book is so powerful.
When Prabhupada would come to the temple in New York, Henry Street, he would say, "Oh, this is the Vaikuntha atmosphere." Everyone was so motivated to publish,
Right.
working on his books, the artists, all the different aspects of book publishing.
Wow.
The people who typed it, the people who did the graphics, and make it ready for printer.
Right.
So editors.
Right. Prabhu, was there any specific instruction that Prabhupada gave, like for devotees, about like getting married in the Grihast ashram in general, like when he was presiding over, your ceremony? So any instruction in general, like for anyone who would marry and enter Grihast ashram in ISKCON?
There's lots of letters about it.
Okay.
Mostly like from people who are asking about it.
Okay.
So I think that's probably a better source than me. But
Sure. And so, bro, after then your services at the press and the Henry Street Temple, what was the next mission?
Then I was in Hawaii for some time. I remember because I remember meeting Prabhupada there, and then I went back to New York en route to India eventually.
Okay.
But in New York, I had association. I was staying with Tamal Krishna Maharaj.
Oh.
And Henry Street Temple. Prabhupada came to the Henry Street Temple.
Right.
And he wanted me to. When I was in New York the first time, we collected a lot of money for a temple in New York City. Well over $100,000.
The 11-story skyscraper?
No. This is different. We collected the money. We didn't get the temple.
Okay.
Prabhupada at the time was in Bombay.
Right.
And I got a call from Brahmananda.
Right.
And he was Prabhupada's secretary at the time.
Yeah.
And he said Prabhupada needed money to purchase the Juhu land.
Right.
They had done the negotiations, etc. already.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Nair had just died or something.
Yeah.
But so I sent all the money to Prabhupada for Bombay land.
So this is money coming from the US to India, and not as people say and as they misconceive that India's money goes to, a lot of Indians have this misconception that ISKCON is sending Indian money abroad.
Really?
Yeah, it's very popular, and it's really popular. And they say that it's an American organization and is founded to take money from Indians and send it to the US.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. So we have it from you that the money was coming from the US into India.
Yeah, I mean, Guru Kripa used to send so much money to Prabhupada for Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And Alfred Ford.
Yeah.
Raising money for Mayapur.
Yeah.
And I sent the money for Bombay for
Temple.
The land.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the land, I believe.
I'm sorry, yeah.
But Prabhupada was very happy because I found out later that when he used to go and see Sumati Maharaji, he passed by that land and he said, this is a perfect place for a temple.
Yeah.
And Krishna filled his desire.
Yeah. And bro, this money was $100,000?
Guru Kripa said it was $149,000.
Oh, that must have been a big amount of money that time.
Yeah.
So even today, it's like it's like in Indian currency, it's like 71 crore. It's like now, and that time much more like valuable.
Oh yeah, much more valuable.
All collected through book distribution,
Yeah,
going on the
through our
streets, buy devotees.
in New York. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, devotees used to go on the subways, make announcements, and then collect funds and distribute books.
Yeah.
You know, but Brahmananda was joking. He said, "You have your ticket now."
Ticket for? I'm sorry.
Back to home.
Haribo.
Because Prabhupada was so happy.
Yeah.
And this was his dream.
Yeah.
But Krishna actually fulfilled it.
Through you.
Through me, through Mr. Nir's death, through... and Guru Kripa told me that he was doing life membership in Bombay, and he went to see Mr. Nair before any of this was going on.
Okay.
And Mr. Nair told him, he said, "Oh, I have some land. Are you people interested in it?" And this was the Juhu land.
And he thought probably he'll cheat you.
Krishna, see all the breadcrumbs, everything, how everything is connected.
Yeah.
And also, Guru Kripa said that when he first met Prabhupada, he hadn't known him before, and he went with the devotees to the airport, Prabhupada arrival. And Prabhupada, when he came, he went past like the devotees that he knew, and he went to Guru Kripa, who he never met, and embraced him.
Okay. And this is because he had been doing life membership?
No, he didn't know Guru Kripa.
This was
before life membership.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't even a devotee that time? Or?
No, he had just become a devotee.
Okay.
But Prabhupada didn't know him, had never met him.
Okay, and went and just embraced him alone from among so many devotees.
Yeah, he picked him out from. So, there are connections that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And the other thing, when Prabhupada got off the plane in Malaysia, when he came to where I was preaching in Malaysia, the plane landed on the tarmac, not on the terminal. So he came off the plane and he was walking on the tarmac, and I met him there, and he embraced me also. So that's like very rare,
Yeah.
So very special.
And what did do you remember what did he say after embracing you?
He doesn't say, it's just a hug,
And
it's nonverbal communication.
Yeah. And I don't know, I've read this somewhere that when, I think it was Hare Krishna Maharaj, after getting the Mayapur land, and Prabhupada got up at midnight or very late night.
I was with Tamal.
At that time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Prabhupada sent me with Tamal to register the Mayapur land.
In Kolkata.
In Calcutta,
Okay, and then you returned.
We came very late.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada's little light was on in his room, and we went into his room, and he was like so happy.
And he also embraced the Hare Krishna.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And I think it was like somebody describing that the embrace was so spiritually uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as if like...
Definitely.
Yeah. Our fortune, to have been embraced by Prabhupada.
Yeah. So, I guess that's why I'm still in Krishna Consciousness.
Hari.
Prabhupada marked me.
Marked you? This is an important person for you.
Dragging me back from the US to India.
Yeah. So then, Prabhu, when you arrived in India for the first time, so how was the experience? And
first time?
Because you were traveling to Southeast Asia for preaching. And the US.
Yeah. When I arrived in India with Prabhupada from when he came to Malaysia, he was on his way. He had the deities with him for Sydney installation, marble deities about this big. So Bhagavan carried one. I think the other one was in a box, a wooden box. But so then I came back with him to India as his secretary. And that was a mixture of things, because Calcutta, the power was always going off, the water was always going off.
Okay.
People were sick. It was basic, very basic. Basic living.
This was the the temple there in Kolkata or some other place?
Yeah, Albert Road. Yeah.
So this brings us to the second part of this very, very special podcast with His Grace Balimardan Prabhu, the devotee who led Prabhupada's mission across the globe, who preached in areas, in places who had never heard of Krishna, who had no devotees. So how did he do that? And what experiences he had? And what message he has for us? And how does he feel about ISKCON today globally? That is what we're going to ask him. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your time again. And so we wanted to know that after you had been Southeast Asia, and then you were also serving at ISKCON Press and the Henry Street Temple. So what were the major developments up till Prabhupada was there in your Krishna conscious services?
Yeah, Srila, I went back to India at some point to help with the Bombay project in Juhu, and I was involved with the setting up the guest house, 2 guest houses and restaurant, buying equipment, etc., etc. And then Prabhupada became, after that, Prabhupada returned to Vrindavan at some point. So I was able to see him again. And he was very, very merciful. He allowed us we chanted with him, constantly, and kirtan, and he gave us, instructions on how the movement should proceed when he was no longer with us physically.
Sure.
And so you've heard some of that, So he really was showing us how a Vaishnav, meets the end of his physical part of his, reality. And Srila Prabhupada was, it was nothing unknown. Everything was in the open. It was completely transparent. And he allowed us to serve him very intimately, massaging his lotus feet while he rested and giving us all the benefits that can help us to further our spiritual path that we're on. Prabhupada was creating portals to the spiritual world, but in the material world, he created spiritual places where, one could enter into the spiritual world. And he's holding the door open for anyone who wants to follow his path, anyone in ISKCON, because Prabhupada created ISKCON. He's the founder Acharya, and his presence is available to anyone who takes part in the process. He's very merciful. The only one I can compare him with is Lord Nityananda. Although Lord Nityananda is an expansion of Lord Chaitanya himself, but a very merciful expansion. He saved Jagai and Madhai even after they committed so many offenses. In the same way, he accepted all of us who had very checkered pasts, born in Western countries, and he turned iron into gold. He said, "These are my jewels." And, it was just, it was hard. We were so close to him, it was very hard to appreciate how great he was. And because we were very intimate with him, it was, and we also wanted to venerate him, as the spiritual master, but the relationship was also very intimate at the same time. Like Prabhupada says about his Guru Maharaj, on the day that we met, his first meeting with his Guru Raj, he learned the meaning of love. So in the same way, we learn the meaning of love by our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And even though he's physically not present, he's still present very strongly. In fact, more strong than ever, actually. We feel his presence.
Prabhu, this is like a bit, I would say, difficult for me to understand. So he was there and you were there with him and you could like interact with him. But you say that when today he's not there, he's physically not there.
He's present in his Vani, in his teaching.
And how is that stronger than his, than actually the time when he was physically present?
Because we sing the Samsara prayers every day. And in the Samsara prayers, it's actually instructing us how to advance in spiritual life, to associate with God. But it can only be done through the agency of the pure devotee who engages one in the higher surface. There's no shortcuts. People are always searching for a shortcut. Some guru who's going to give them Gopi Bhav. It doesn't work like that. You have to follow the great souls and follow their instructions. Like stirring sweet rice. As you stir it, it becomes thicker and thicker as you heat it up. So the same way with bhakti. It's not immediate, but Krishna sees your sincerity. Srila Prabhupada used to always tell us many times, your attempt should not be to see Krishna.
Yes.
But your attempt should be to act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. And what is it that would make Krishna want to see you? Your devotion, your love. Sudama Prabhu, who I went to Japan with, was very depressed at some time. And he said he went to Prabhupada and he told Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, I'm not like your other disciples. I can't quote all these Sanskrit verses, etc., etc. And Prabhupada said, no. He said, Krishna sees your love. It's not the Sanskrit verses that's important. It's your love for Krishna. That's the important thing. So in the same way in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if you offer me with love, even the smallest thing, I will accept it. So that's what attracts us to Krishna. So Prabhupada, our loving relationship with him leads to our spiritual advancement. Not that we have to try separately to, enter into Goloka Vrindavan. Prabhupada will bring us there. In fact, he's holding the door open for us to enter into the spiritual world, but we just have to follow him. So that's the exercise of one's free will, to choose to follow the path of Srila Prabhupada without any changes. He said people, Westerners especially, love to make changes, thinking they can, improve something that's already perfect. So the process is there for us to follow. But getting back to what I said about Srila Prabhupada's compassion, Lord Nityananda, even though he was an expansion of Lord Chaitanya, was given Bengal as his preaching zone. And Srila Prabhupada was given the whole world as his preaching zone. So just imagine how dear he is to Krishna and to Lord Chaitanya. For preaching this mission. We were so close to him, it's like if we're next to the Empire State Building, we only see a small part of it. But if we step back, we see it's going up over 100 floors. So the same way with Srila Prabhupada, we couldn't appreciate his greatness because we were so close. But, years from now, he may be on the same level as Jesus Christ, perhaps. In terms of people's understanding, because we can see what he's doing. I mean, in India today, the temples are expanding so rapidly, it's hard to even keep up with it. It's like a nuclear reaction. It has a critical, when things reach a critical mass, then they just expand on their own exponentially. So in the same way, Krishna Consciousness is expanding exponentially because of Srila Prabhupada's potency. We're only instruments. We're puppets. But he's the one who's directing everything.
Yeah.
So his presence, what I meant about his presence is he enters our minds. He enters our heart. He's already in our hearts, but we realize him more and more. We can feel his presence. That's, spiritual realization. And Prabhupada used to say the same thing about his Guru Maharaj. In fact, he described him in 2 words. He was a Vaikuntha man. So these are not ordinary souls. These are very special. How often does a Srila Prabhupada come, into our purview? Once in a million lifetimes. So Prabhupada wrote himself in his own handwriting when he started in New York City. He used to have meetings and he would write, please take advantage of this great opportunity. So it's an opportunity, it's not a guarantee. But one has to use one's own free will to take advantage of that opportunity. We have to realize what's at stake. And I think people in India have a better understanding, which is why we are expanding so rapidly.
Yeah. Yes.
They feel that this is real, I think, and the more that more centers open, the more they will understand, as long as we maintain the standards that Srila Prabhupada has given us. And we have very, very nice devotees who are executing his mission.
Prabhu, this brings me to a question that when Prabhupada was here, and Prabhupada preached in India from at least 1971 up till when he left the planet. So there wasn't the kind of expansion in India as was in the US and in other European countries of the Krishna consciousness. But what has happened? What is it that now, at that time when Prabhupada was there, we had probably maybe 6 temples, I think, and now there are so many. So how did Indians, I would say, what did change about Indians?
Well, I think in India initially there was a lot of bad press.
Okay.
There was that Devanand, that movie, and portraying it as some, cult, some hippie movement. But I think over time, important people in India realized that this was the real Vedic culture that India had given to the world.
Yeah.
And that Srila Prabhupada was reestablishing it.
Yes, Prabhu. But then, Prabhu, if the bad press was giving ISKCON a bad name, but we find thousands of people attending the Bombay Cross Maidan festival.
Right. Yeah, I was there.
Okay. And then also the Jaipur festival is overcrowded by people, and then also the Delhi, the LIC grounds, festival. So people were coming in great numbers, and these are massive festivals spread over 7 days.
I'll give you an example. When I was preaching in Malaysia, we were the children of the parents that were attracted initially became very serious about it.
Right.
They took it more seriously even than their parents.
Okay.
They were chanting on beads and reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And I think in the same way in India, the first generation they'd seen so many swamis come and go that, the latest fad.
Yeah.
So, a lot of them did come out and they were attracted, but their children, they also came with their children. And now those children are growing up, and we are getting many, many devotees who are college graduates, ITT, master's degrees, very intelligent people who have seen Krishna consciousness over a period of years, that it's not some quick fad that's going to fade away.
Right.
That this is the real movement of Lord Chaitanya, an Indian movement, not a Western movement. but this originated in India, in West Bengal. And so they understand it's the real thing, because I was curious myself. And I asked some of the Indian devotees that I had met in Boston, how did you choose ISKCON? You know, in India, you have so many options, so many people claiming to be, you know, advanced in spiritual life. And they said because the reason that they gave seemed to be that when they went to ISKCON centers, they saw that everyone was serious about following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, you know, and not just making a show and then smoking beedies, you know, behind the wall or something, you know. They were serious.
Sure.
So I think the reality of it is dawning on people after so many years.
Right.
That it's not some, you know, what they have a word for it. It's not some quick fix thing that's going to go away, that it's the real deal, that's the real culture of India.
Right.
And the government is also becoming more favorable because they're pushing similar values.
Right.
And they see how much Srila Prabhupada's movement is contributing, not taking from Indian society, but giving to Indian society in terms of like the temples, the education, the food for life, and other programs.
Right.
So it's a spiritual potency, Srila Prabhupada, and he's present in his teaching. He's fully present, just like Krishna is present in his name. Srila Prabhupada is present in his teachings because they're eternal. And anyone who takes shelter of ISKCON will also be able to get his mercy. Some people complain that, one of your sannyasis, you know, had problems, and you know, but everything is under Prabhupada's guidance. So we're not reliant on one person.
Right.
We're reliant on Srila Prabhupada. That's why he printed books.
Yeah.
Because the books stay. The temple can go or come, but the books remain, you know, the knowledge. And that's the shelter that we take. We take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And if there's a problem with one sannyasi, we have many sannyasis that are following very carefully Srila Prabhupada's directions. So, I mean, it's not a valid issue. You know, if they think you can't change what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita about the disciplic succession, you can't just change it on a whim because someone had a problem. You know, that's the process. And there may be, you know, you may have some issues with it, but there's way to overcome that because Srila Prabhupada's mercy is so great.
Sure.
There's always the initiating guru and the Siksha guru, and they're equal. So Prabhupada is a Siksha guru for everyone who takes shelter of ISKCON.
Right. Prabhu, and like yesterday you did share one experience of personal interaction with Prabhupada when Prabhupada like called you in and like it was like probably either very late or early morning.
Okay.
So are there any such like more personal, I'm sure there must be many, so if you could share a few of your personal experiences with Prabhupada.
It's hard to pick out one because that one was such a strong one that, you know, he's showing his compassion on the fallen souls, because I'd never seen anyone like that. I've never met anyone like that who stays up at night and cries for the suffering of the conditioned souls in this world, and spends 24 hours a day, every day, to bring those souls back to home, back to Godhead, with all his energy.
Right.
So that was the overriding. I mean, there's so many personal anecdotes, but like Prabhupada said, you know, to his personal, regarding his personal service, he said, taking care of my body is not important. Preaching is important.
Right.
That's why he would send out Sudama, Upendra. You know, if he could get them to go out and preach, that satisfied him much more than someone just, bringing his food to take care of his physical body.
Right. So, Prabhu, any or you can share your most memorable experiences with Prabhupada. I know.
Meeting him was the most memorable one, and
your first.
he was
meeting.
just very. No matter how many stupid things I did, he always re-engaged me. He never chastised me. So, that just shows how I think we may have had some. Our relationship was ongoing. It wasn't, and he told me that. He said he was really enthused for me to preach in foreign countries where Krishna consciousness had not been available before. And he said that my Guru Raja is sending me so much help,
right,
to assist him. That there's some things that he said that I haven't really fully realized the meaning of. He told me when I was in Australia, I believe it was, in a letter, he said, I take it for granted you are one of the selected devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So I'm not sure what that means. But, I should probably spend some time in Mayapur and meditate on that. Right? See what the meaning of that is. But we do many foolish things, but Prabhupada always gets us back on the path. And now I did some government service. After Prabhupada left, I was, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna left, Arjuna was very depressed. And all the powers that he previously had were diminished. But so it took me some time to realize that Srila Prabhupada was still here, that he was still able to, come to us to give us enthusiasm to serve. And I did write a book during that period, after he left. I wrote Journey to the Pacific Rim about some of my experiences with him. And, it's just amazing how how he's still able to, his presence he still makes himself present to us, and just very unique.
Yeah.
But anyone who's, the new devotees that we're making now, this is the future of this movement. And so they're so nice because some of them are born in devotee families, which is no guarantee. But it is an opportunity, which Prabhupada likes to use that word. And they have to take advantage of it. They can become great devotees because their lives have been much purer than ours were.
So, Prabhu, what is the message that you have for youngsters across, I would say, across the globe, actually, who are getting introduced to Krishna consciousness? And so what is it that you would like to say to them, which would help them in their journey?
Prabhupada would always say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But, what is the harm if you try it?
Right.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that one who has once tasted the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord can never forget it. So if you chant even on these, we have these devotees who are on YouTube, like Achyuta Gopi, who are doing a lot to use modern technology to spread Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada liked that. He said, we can spiritualize everything for Krishna. Use it, but use it for Krishna.
Right.
That's the message of Bhagavad Gita. Do
Right.
your work, but do it for Krishna. Don't be attached to the fruits. Make that as an offering to Lord Krishna. So if we do that, then we can spiritualize our whole lives. And what is the harm? I mean, people are spending billions of dollars for estate planning, for their material assets. What happens when they die? But they can't take their assets with them. Everyone comes into this world with nothing, and they leave with nothing. Material. So what is the purpose of that? Instead, we should utilize our time to plan for the soul. What's next for the soul? What planning are you doing for your soul, which is going to leave this body at some point? That should be the importance of life. I mean, understand the meaning of human life. Every religion says the soul is eternal. But what do they do? What do they know about it? They don't know anything about it. But in the Vedic culture that Srila Prabhupada introduced to us, everything is known and it's given to us freely. So one should invest some time to look into it, because no matter how much you achieve in this lifetime, you're going to leave this world with nothing. But if you gain knowledge, you can leave this world and never have to come back again and go to the spiritual world, the eternal spiritual world, what Shakespeare called the undiscovered country.
The spiritual world is undiscovered country.
Well, death, life after death,
Okay.
the undiscovered country.
Because
Shakespeare referred to it.
He had no idea of it.
Yeah, but they did talk of heaven,
Okay.
even in Shakespeare's time.
Yeah.
Christianity always talks about heaven, but they have no real knowledge of it. But we have knowledge of it, which they don't.
Sure.
And it's going back thousands of years, so
Sure, Prabhu.
one should take advantage.
So, Prabhu, this is my second last question, which is that you saw Prabhupada's ISKCON that Prabhupada was overseeing, but now Prabhupada is not physically there, and it's his ISKCON. So, so is there anything that probably makes you feel that this is something which was not the way Prabhupada wanted? Probably, I don't know.
So there's always deviations. There's always people who, their faith wavers or they're not sincere enough. Krishna, I was reading a verse yesterday from Srimad Bhagavatam, and said that one can enter the spiritual world when every tinge of material desire is gone. So one has to be completely pure. One has to purify oneself. So one has to be sincere in one's attempt to do that. And one of my godbrothers, Radhanath Maharaj, I heard him in a lecture, and he was talking about how powerful Maya was, the illusory energy of Krishna, that deludes us into thinking that, this material world is the end-all and be-all of existence. But he said that don't think you can overcome Maya by yourself. We need to get the assistance of the pure devotee and Krishna to extricate ourselves from this predicament that we have found ourselves in this material world. So, it's very important. So one has to be sincere, but and also that's the chanting of the Maha Mantra is begging the Lord to please, assist me in getting to serve your lotus feet.
Right.
It's like Prabhupada described it as a crying of a baby for its mother. One has to cry out to the Lord and get his assistance. What is that saying? Not God helps us. As Krishna sees our sincerity, then That's the important thing. He will assist us. But, we can't, in the material world, there's, not everyone can do that. But we have to try. And even if there's, problems, we have to continue, pull ourselves up and continue. And over time, we will see how the advancement that we make, we will feel it. It's tangible. It's not theoretical. One will tangibly feel the descriptions in the samsara prayers about entering into spiritual activities through the guidance of the spiritual master. So that can actually happen, and you will realize it at some point, but it's not immediately. Not immediately. One has to be very sincere and get the mercy. We're only here because of the kripa of Srila Prabhupada, of his mercy, because we had such bad births in Western countries. But of course, Indians have an advantage to some degree. Some are born in very good families, so they have a head up. So, and now we see those people, they could get jobs. They're fully qualified. They have advanced degrees, but some of them are choosing Krishna consciousness.
Sure.
So it says a lot.
So, Prabhu, this brings us to the last question of this podcast. So here we at Gurugram now have been blessed by Srila Prabhupada with 2 temples and 2 very beautiful temples. And so what's your message for the devotees of ISKCON Gurugram Yatra, and how do you want them, any words of inspiration for them, because now they have 2, I would say not just 1 but 2 temples to probably preach from, and two sets of deities to be serving.
Oh, they seem to be doing very well. The ones that I spoke to, just continue, and just remember, nothing is impossible for Krishna. So don't never think that, it's we already have 2 temples. There's always, not everyone can fit into these 2 temples, especially on important days. We see how crowded it gets.
Yeah, very crowded.
So we have to make facilities for everyone. So don't give up trying to expand Srila Prabhupada's mission. Lord Chaitanya said, in every town and village. So we have to keep that in mind.
Jai.
And try and please Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda.
And yes, Prabhu, so in line with this only, so actually we have 2 temples, you've been to both. And apart from this, within Gurugram, we have about at least maybe 30 more centers, at different, locations of the city. And we also have centers in towns, which are about, say, half an hour drive from Gurugram. So there's Bhiwadi, there is Sona, and we have small centers, maybe 100 people come on this feast. There are regular, aartis happening. So our devotees are actually trying to even cross the boundaries of the city and go out. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for your precious time.
Oh, I want to thank my god brother also, Gopal Krishna. He's done such a tremendous service for Srila Prabhupada in expanding the mission here. I remember when there was, maybe 1 center in Delhi at the time that I was here in the 70s. And now we have so many and expanding rapidly. So it's very nice to see such devotion. And in Vrindavan, it's always overcrowded.
Yeah.
It's and you can feel that love for Srila Prabhupada. Everyone's chanting on beats, and it's really fantastic.
Yeah. So we are incredibly thankful to we had. It was a great fortune to have been able to sit next to you and to be able to hear the experiences that you had, and the dedication, the love, the sacrifice that you and the other your God brothers have done for this movement will be remembered for generations by us, and they will be the guiding light, guiding path for devotees for like us who probably who never had that kind of a connection. And thank you so much.
But you can have it. Krishna will give you that mercy.